Do you remember the smell of toast warming up in the old kitchen and the sizzle of the cast iron skillet waking up the whole house in the morning? There were sandwiches that nourished a generation through poverty, war, and rationing. Cheap, quick, but heartwarming in the truest sense of the word, survival. Today, we're opening up the American lunchbox with 25 sandwiches that time and modern menus have erased. Some dishes will make you want to eat them again right now, and some will make you only dare to remember but never eat again. Let's begin. Hear the sizzle yet? For many Americans, that is the sound of a post-war morning. Spam was born in 1937. Cheap, durable. It followed soldiers to the front lines. Then it followed them home, staying right in the family kitchen. A slice of Spam grilled until crispy edges. Crispy toast. Spread a little mayo or yellow mustard. That was enough to get through a long, hard day. No need to be fancy. Just needed to be filling and sustaining. People called Spam the meat that won the war. Not because it was the tastiest, but because it fed an entire generation in uniform. In Hawaii, Spam even achieved a different status. It transformed into musubi, making its way into breakfast, lunch boxes, and even becoming a star at fairs. In church, post-war women's cookbooks taught dozens of recipes to vary Spam. Pressed, baked, fried, diced for salad. It wasn't just a piece of meat, it was proof of ingenuity and not giving up. For many veterans, that salty taste was the warmth of camaraderie amidst the bombs. For poor families back then, it was the cheer of the weekend when mom opened the Spam can on the kitchen table. A simple Spam sandwich that held an entire chapter of American life. If you tell someone who has never eaten this about it, they'll cringe immediately. But if you grew up in the American South in the 50s and 60s, chances are you ate this more than once. Ripe bananas were sliced lengthwise, placed on soft white bread. A thin layer of mayo was spread for richness and smoothness when biting. That's it. No stove, no fire, no waiting required. During a time when supermarkets weren't abundant, travel was difficult, and fresh meat vegetables were hard to buy, this dish was the savior for mothers who wanted to give their children something both filling and easy to swallow. The funny thing is that most kids didn't like to show it off to their friends because it sounded weird. But when they opened their lunchbox and took the first bite, they ate it very quickly, because its flavor truly made sense in the context of poverty. Soft, rich, sweet, easy to swallow, and calorie sufficient. Some families added peanut butter to make it heavier, some added bacon for the luxury Elvis version, and some drizzled honey on the last slice. Each variation was a small innovation from those years of getting by while still trying to make a decent meal. Do you remember the feeling of biting into a sandwich where the sauce spilled over the edges of the bread, soaking the napkins and getting all over your hands? That is the Sloppy Joe, America's messy but lovable sandwich of the 20th century. Its origin is still debated, Havana or Iowa. The real Joe or a fictional Joe. But what is certain is, it appeared when the wallet was thin but the stomach still needed filling. Ground beef, onion, tomato, a little sugar, a little vinegar, a few pinches of cheap spices, cooked into a sauce that was a little spicy, a little sweet, and sticky that kids couldn't get enough of. Kids at school used to dream of Sloppy Joe Day in the cafeteria. The beige plastic tray, the thin napkin, and the mound of red sauce peeking out from the bread's edge. By the 1950s, when Manwich was introduced, the Sloppy Joe entered its golden age. Just pop open a can, and Tuesday dinner was served. Many American families used to have a fixed Sloppy Joe night every week, like a post-war living ritual. The Sloppy Joe never tried to look pretty. It chose to be honest, messy, piping hot, cheap, but filling and joyful. If you asked an American boy in the 50s or 60s the coolest sandwich he ever ate, the answer would very likely be bacon and peanut butter. Not polite, not refined, but once you ate it, you remembered it. The method was true to the spirit of the youth back then. Spread a thick layer of peanut butter on soft white bread, then top it with crispy fried bacon. The contrast happened right in the first bite. Sticky richness, salty crunch, light sweetness, smoky aroma. For kids who needed energy to run outside or ride their bikes all day, this was jet fuel. Some homes added banana or honey. The style later associated with Elvis Presley, which gave this dish a strong flavor of mass nostalgia. Nutritionally, it was approved by parents because of its high protein, fat, and energy content, a quick option before the age of protein bars or industrial packaged foods. Today, this dish sounds like a joke, but for those who once sat eating it in front of a black and white TV or while doing homework, that is a part of youth that will never return. It represents a time when Americans weren't afraid of cholesterol, hadn't started counting calories, hadn't obsessed over clean eating. They just needed a dish that made life fun and strong so they could keep running. Did you ever hear the adults back then say, "Tonight we're having chicken sandwiches"? But on the table, there was no chicken? That was the fake chicken sandwich, a peak of ingenuity during the Great Depression. No money for meat, but still needed dinner to taste like chicken so the kids wouldn't feel deprived. So they mixed beaten eggs, chopped tomatoes, minced onion, adding a little cheese or seasoning to fool the palate. Pan-fried lightly until fragrant, then sandwiched between soft bread. Looked like chicken, smelled like chicken, felt like chicken, and, most importantly, it was filling enough. Children who grew up during that period had no idea they were eating fake chicken until many years later. Some people recount that it wasn't until adulthood, rereading yellowed, handwritten recipe cards, that they realized they never ate real chicken throughout their childhood. This sandwich also often appeared at churches, schools, and potlucks during hard times, where flavor was more important than the origin of the ingredients. For that generation, fake chicken wasn't just a way to fill the stomach. It was proof of self-respect. Even when poor, they tried to keep the family meal somewhat decent, with a little dignity, a little bit like everyone else. If one dish could take you back to childhood in just one bite, do you think you would dare to try it again? Share in the comments below. No sandwich causes as much controversy as Marmite and cheese. If you love it for life. If you hate it, you never try it a second time. There is no gray area. Marmite came to America following the British and Canadians during wartime and rationing. They brought compact, nutritious, and easy-to-preserve items. Marmite is rich in vitamin B, making it the ideal choice when nutrition had to prioritize practicality rather than taste. Combining Marmite with creamy cheese and sandwiching it in black bread or wholemeal bread, you get a meal that is low in ingredients but high in energy, suitable for a work lunchbox, afternoon tea, or shift meal during times of scarcity. For the generation born after the war in the UK and the US, Marmite and cheese is the taste of childhood in the lunchbox. The slice of bread mom quickly wrapped before the bus arrived, the warm cup of tea beside the window on a rainy day. As for those who never ate it then but only heard about it, they are surprised why people would willingly eat something so salty, dark, and strong-smelling. Marmite and cheese exist not because it pleases the majority, but because it represents an era when the value of food was not measured by its deliciousness, but by its ability to sustain life and evoke memory. If you grew up in the 40s or 50s, chances are you heard this in the kitchen. Eat your liver, son, it's for good blood to keep you strong. And the way mothers back then incorporated liver into the family diet was in a sandwich. Chicken liver was marinated with garlic, salt, and lemon. Pan-fried until soft and fragrant, then thinly sliced and layered onto toasted bread. Add a little lettuce, a slice of tomato, and some mayo for a well-rounded flavor. Not a luxurious dish, but a dish of care. The kind of care that was bought not with bottled vitamins, but with cheap yet nutrient-rich ingredients. After World War II, many families couldn't regularly afford lean meat. Organ meat was meat for practical people, cheap yet rich in iron and vitamins. At that time, eating liver was not just eating. It was a piece of folk medical belief. You had to nourish the blood. You had to nourish the strength for a growing child. Not everyone likes the smell of canned fish, but in the early years of the 20th century, when fresh meat was expensive and scarce, canned sardines were the savior of the American kitchen. Put a few sardines in a bowl, lightly mash them with finely chopped boiled eggs. Add a little pepper or vinegar. Sandwich it between bread. That was nutritious enough, filling enough, strong enough to keep working. This sandwich was popular during World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II, when the government encouraged people to use canned goods to reduce the burden on fresh food. In immigrant families from the Mediterranean or Eastern Europe, sardines also brought the flavor of the homeland. A bit of the sea, a bit of the saltiness of distant memories. The clever point of the recipe was adding the egg. The egg softened the fish flavor, faked the sensation of meat, making it easier for children to eat. Because of this, it was the sandwich that kids back then would eat, and parents would sigh in relief about. Speaking of deviled ham, many people don't immediately remember the taste, but remember the little red devil on the can label. Just seeing that logo in the pantry meant, today the house had a powerful sandwich. Deviled ham appeared in 1868, then became a staple in American kitchens before refrigeration. Ham was finely ground, mixed with mayo, mustard, chili powder, and spices, creating a blend that was salty, slightly spicy, rich, and very convenient. Just open the can, spread it on bread. The meal was done before the teapot had cooled. During the World Wars, deviled ham entered military rations because it didn't require refrigeration, didn't take up space, and was filling for a long time. After the war, it reintegrated into daily life. Found in picnic lunchboxes at the park, in the midday meal of factory workers, in the baskets mothers packed for their children to take to school. What kept this dish alive wasn't because it was the best tasting, but because it hit the values of that time exactly. Fast, cheap, filling, and did not waste time. Many people who grew up with deviled ham recount that every time they open the can, they remember the sound of a knife spreading butter on bread, the radio broadcasting the midday news, and the sight of their parents eating quickly to make it to the afternoon shift. Now, if these dishes are stirring up memories for you, please hit hype so YouTube can push this video to more people of our generation who still remember meals like these. Before refrigeration, preserving meat for weeks was an art of survival. And potted meat, meat cooked and then packed tightly under a layer of fat, was the solution of smart kitchens back then. When needed, they simply scooped out the meat, spread it on buttered bread or toast. No need to reheat. No worry about spoilage. Quick, filling, no waste. Potted meat became a staple in the lunchboxes of miners, railroad workers, farmers, and field laborers. People who needed energy but couldn't stop to cook midday. This sandwich followed them down the mine shaft, out to the fields, onto the train. It didn't complain, didn't fuss, you just opened the pot and ate. For housewives of that era, knowing how to make potted meat meant knowing how to keep a home, how to be thrifty, and how to plan ahead. One batch of meat could live for weeks under the layer of fat, giving the family peace of mind whether the weather was cold or the market was far. Today, this dish is viewed as crude, strong-smelling, and outdated. But for those who went through the period without air conditioning or supermarkets, the potted meat sandwich is a symbol of the time when people won the war against time and climate through kitchen wisdom. If you opened a lunchbox in the 40s or 50s and saw a creamed corn sandwich, you might be either delighted or slightly confused. But for many families back then, this was the perfect sandwich when quick filling and low cost were needed. Canned creamed corn was heated, mixed with cheese to make it stringy or sprinkled with a little pepper to cut the richness. Then it was spread on buttered bread or pan-pressed until the outside was lightly crisp. The result was a sandwich that was sweet, rich, soft, easy to eat, suitable for both small children and the elderly without strong teeth. During the period when the government encouraged meatless meals to save protein for the war front, this sandwich appeared in churches, in charity cookbooks, in community potlucks, and in the kitchen where mom had to stretch a meal from a few very cheap ingredients. It is also a symbol of the canned goods era, when refrigerators were not yet common. Opening a can of corn and turning it into lunch was a very progressive and practical action. Children remember the sweetness. Adults remember the feeling of security. Not. If there is one dish that clearly embodies the spirit of, if you kill an animal, don't waste a single piece, that is Scrapple. Originating from the Pennsylvania Dutch, this dish uses scraps of pork remaining after the premium cuts have been filtered out, cooked with bone broth, mixed with cornmeal, and pressed into a loaf. When eaten, it is sliced and pan-fried until golden and crispy on the outside, moist and soft inside. Sandwiching Scrapple in white or rye bread, adding mustard or even maple syrup, you had a breakfast that was cheap, filling, energy sufficient for a whole day's work. For many families in the mid-Atlantic US, the sound of Scrapple sizzling in the cast iron skillet on Saturday morning was the sound signaling the weekend, something akin to a family ritual. Scrapple is not a rich man's dish. It is the dish of people who were not rich but were wise, who knew how to turn scraps into something worthwhile. Northerners called it thrift, but for the Pennsylvania German people, it was also a moral code, not wasting creation. Unlike the sandwiches born from poverty, the cucumber sandwich carries the opposite aura. Delicate, light, and somewhat aristocratic. Its origin comes from Victorian England, then followed middle and upper-class women into America, in tea rooms, ladies' clubs, garden parties, and bridal showers in the early 20th century. White bread with the crust removed, spread with a very thin layer of butter or cream cheese. Cucumbers thinly sliced, sprinkled with a little salt to draw out excess water, then layered on top. Light, cool, refreshing, and did not cause noise when eaten. Fitting the standards of elegant entertaining back then, where women chatted while eating, without dropping crumbs or making sounds. The cucumber sandwich became popular not because it tasted superb, but because it represented a lifestyle. Polite, slow, refined, eating to look good rather than just eating to be full. It is the sandwich of the class that had time to be leisurely. In the memories of many older Americans, this dish is associated with summer porches, cold iced tea, lace tablecloths, and quiet, gentle gatherings. It was also the safe dish for women's events because it was not sticky, not greasy, and did not create odors. Between two kinds of memory, a meal that was poor but warmed the home, and a meal that was delicious but eaten alone. Which memory do you lean towards more? Nowadays, mentioning beef tongue sandwich makes most young people frown. But in the first half of the 20th century, the tongue sandwich was considered respectable and valuable, especially in Jewish delis in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Beef tongue was slow cooked until butter soft, thinly sliced, and layered thickly onto rye bread, spread with brown mustard, accompanied by a pickle on the side. Simple yet rich in protein, flavorful, and elegant enough to serve on a Sunday or when guests arrived. For the generation of Jewish immigrants, using beef tongue was not using scraps, but a tradition of using the entire animal, avoiding waste but eating in the right, cultural way. During World War II and rationing, the USDA even recommended organ meats like tongue, liver, and heart as smart alternatives to expensive cuts of meat. Therefore, the tongue sandwich was once the dish of families who knew how to budget but still valued dignity. There are foods that if you only hear about, you will shake your head. But if you grew up with it, you'll smile immediately. The peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich is one of those dishes. Not a fancy meal. But in the 1930s to 40s, when wallets were thin and children still needed calories for school, this odd combination became the lunchtime savior. Peanut butter provided fat and protein. Mayo provided softness and ease of swallowing. Cheap white bread was always available. The three things combined were cheap, filling, lasted long. Many Southern families also added lettuce or banana to upgrade it. Some drizzled a little honey. Kids who took it to school often were ashamed to show it. But strangely, they finished it before the recess bell even rang. As people aged, this dish disappeared from the daily menu. But whenever someone mentions it, memories light up like a switched-on lamp. The tin lunchbox, the buzzing freezer, and the smell of bread wrapped in brown paper. Today, if you put it on the table, most people will cringe. But for those who lived through that era, this wasn't a culinary joke. It is proof of the discipline, thriftiness, and decent ingenuity of their parents. During the Great Depression, when meals had to stretch the dollar, the appearance of the cheese dream was like a sweet escape. Cheap, easy to make, and comforting enough to be considered a decent meal. The preparation was very simple. A slice of bread, a slice of cheese, usually American cheese, placed under the broiler until the cheese was bubbling and spread out like a golden blanket. Sometimes people added a slice of tomato or sprinkled a little paprika to create a feeling of luxury. It was often served with a small bowl of soup or fruit, forming a simple but complete and orderly meal, which was very important in families trying to maintain dignity, even when poor. The US government during the war even included the cheese dream in low-cost nutrition guides for poor households and schools, because it provided the cheapest energy percent. In many cafeterias in the 40s and 50s, children ate cheese dreams not because they loved them, but because it was what the school could afford for everyone. This dish is a typical lesson from the Great Depression and post-war era. If you don't have what you want, make something that resembles it as closely as possible. Mock ham salad didn't use real ham, but ground bologna or leftover cheap cold cuts, mixed with mayo, mustard, relish, then beaten until smooth like pâté. When spread on bread, it looked and tasted very much like real ham salad, so much so that many children grew up believing they ate ham every week. This dish often appeared at churches, funerals, family gatherings, neighborhood potlucks, and school lunchboxes. Because it was cheap, easy to make in large quantities, and easy to eat. It wasn't flashy, but it was always quietly present, exactly where it was needed. In many butcher shops back then, the vendors even proactively ground up a mystery meat blend for the poor to mix into fake ham salad. A testament that the entire community understood each other and went through the hard times together. If the previous dishes were born out of scarcity, the Monte Cristo appeared during the period when Americans started wanting to be indulged when eating. Not just to be full, but to wow. The Monte Cristo is the Americanized version of the croque monsieur. Ham and cheese sandwiched between two slices of bread, dipped in egg, fried until golden, then dusted with powdered sugar like a dessert and served with jam. Salty, sweet, and rich. A very bold palate punch in the 1960s. This dish became famous largely thanks to Disneyland, where visitors wanted to try something both familiar and strange, both simple and extravagant. Biting into a Monte Cristo wasn't just eating a sandwich, it was buying an experience. The steaming plate, the layer of white powdered sugar, the satisfying sound of the knife slicing through the crust. If Spam was the food of reality, then Spam plus pineapple was the food of imagination. It appeared strongly after World War II when Spam was still abundant in kitchens, and America began to be fascinated by tropicalization after Hawaii became a state in 1959. The preparation was very American. Spam sliced, pan-fried until the edges were crispy, and the fat released its aroma. Add a ring of canned pineapple, the canned pineapple once considered a tropical luxury, placed on top. Some homes even drizzled a little honey or added cheese to melt under the broiler. The saltiness of Spam met the glossy, sweet, and sour taste of pineapple, creating what Americans at that time called fun food, a dish that brought a feeling of joy and novelty, despite being extremely cheap. This version often appeared in simulated backyard luau's, at school fairs, or in lunches that wanted to be a little different but still didn't cost money. It carried the innocent spirit of a baby boomer America, not yet rich but believing in tomorrow enough to eat, as if they were in Hawaii. If there was one sandwich that kids ran away from, but adults viewed as the pinnacle of palate, that was the anchovy paste sandwich, a dish for well-experienced tongues. Unlike the filling sandwiches for workers or students, anchovy paste appeared more often in cocktail parties, gentlemen's clubs, reading rooms, and elegant tea and liquor sessions. It often used gentleman's relish, a mixture of mashed salted anchovies with butter, olive oil, pepper, and breadcrumbs. Spread on hot toast, perhaps with cucumber or parsley for a lighter taste. Salty, sharp, intense, not comforting to anyone. In the 50s and 60s, this dish was considered a sign of knowing how to eat, knowing how to choose. Appearing in fancy parties for English literature enthusiasts, even mentioned in James Bond stories as a symbol of taste reserved for adults. It wasn't meant to fill you up. It was meant to declare you belonged to the group of people who didn't eat with the crowd. If you had the chance to taste that exact flavor from back then just one time, would you do it because of nostalgia or because you wanted to know that old feeling again? In the American South, if BBQ is the king of dinner, then pimento cheese is the queen of the lunchbox. A mix of grated cheddar cheese, mayo, and chopped red pimento peppers. Simple, inexpensive, yet rich, and spreading family memory in a strange way. Pimento cheese was once considered high class in the North in the early 20th century, then migrated south and stayed there permanently. Since then, it has appeared in family picnics, church potlucks, high school football games, tailgates before the stadium, and of course, in sandwiches. Southerners remember this dish not just by the taste, but by the accompanying scene. Sweet iced tea, a breezy porch, creaking wicker chairs, and the sound of neighbors greeting each other over the fence. A white bread sandwich with pimento cheese, soft, rich, slightly spicy, is the kind of quiet happiness that the South preserves. Pimento cheese also left a cultural mark by appearing at the Masters tournament in Augusta, where it became an iconic dish. Not because it was fancy, but because it was true Southern soul. If you grew up in America in the 50s or 60s, you might have opened your lunchbox and seen a slice of olive loaf staring back at you. Green olive rings mixed in the block of pink meat creating an unmistakable face. Olive loaf is a mixture of ground meat, usually pork plus beef, mixed with pimento stuffed olives, pressed into a loaf, and then sliced. It is not for connoisseurs, it is for people who needed a quick, cheap lunch, easily bought at the deli. Sandwich olive loaf with mayonnaise or mustard, add a leaf of lettuce, and that was enough for a decent meal for students, workers, or travelers. What imprinted this dish deeply in memory was not just the strange, salty, sour taste, but the image. The olive-speckled meat slice appearing in a metal lunchbox, next to a bag of chips and a small carton of milk. Just by seeing it, you knew an entire generation ate that stuff. In the 50s and 60s, olive loaf was also heavily advertised to housewives as a flavor change while still saving money option. It often appeared in picnics, school lunches, and women's meetings at church. The fish stick sandwich is not just a dish. It is a symbol of a new era, when frozen food and TV dinners began to dominate America in the 1950s. Fish sticks, frozen, breaded, and fried fish, were seen as the life-saving invention for housewives. No need to deal with fresh fish, no fishy smell spreading throughout the house, no cooking skills required. Just put them in the oven or pan for a few minutes, then place them on bread with ketchup or tartar sauce, and it became lunch. Kids liked it because the flavor was mild. No bones, easy to eat. Parents liked it because it was quick, cheap, and didn't bother the kitchen. Many Americans have very clear memories of this dish. Friday night, especially in Catholic families who abstained from meat, the whole family ate fish sticks in front of the black and white TV, watching family shows. Biting into the sandwich, hearing the crispy crust, then glancing up at the screen, that was the rhythm of the new age. There are dishes tied to a specific occasion, but then because they are so logical, people eat them on normal days too. The chicken and cranberry sandwich is a typical example, carrying the soul of Thanksgiving, but surviving year-round on the American dining table. Leftover roast chicken from the feast was shredded, mixed with mayo or left in slices, then sandwiched with sweet and sour cranberry sauce. Many families added a layer of brie or cream cheese for richness, placed in a baguette or artisan bread. Just from leftovers, this sandwich became the next day's lunch. Delicious, respectable, and carrying the feeling of still being the holiday, even though the party was over. For many people, biting into the sandwich is like biting into a piece of family memory. A full table, laughter, the lingering smell of the oven, and a rare, slow moment of the year. Chicken and cranberry survives because it hits two needs exactly. No waste, leftovers must live again, and still wanting to eat something decent, even on a regular day. Not everything associated with war tasted bitter. The victory sandwich was a sandwich of belief. It emerged right after World War II ended, when the country hadn't yet become rich, but the spirit had stood tall again. The victory sandwich didn't have a fixed recipe. It was made from whatever was left on the table. Stale bread, a thin layer of butter, a few leftover cold cuts, or vegetables harvested from the backyard victory garden. Some homes used pickles, some used eggs, some just spread leftover fat. It was still called victory, not because of the ingredients, but because of its meaning. The government and the press at that time even encouraged children to bring a victory lunch to school, as a lesson in patriotism. Eat without waste, remember the efforts of the home front and the soldiers. That modest meal did not nourish abundance, it nourished the spirit of discipline and gratitude. For many families, the victory sandwich was the first time after many years of war that they ate in silence without the sound of air raid sirens. When a nation has grown accustomed to living in fear, just sitting down and eating normally, is also a victory. Dinner time in the 1950s was more than a meal, it was a moment of togetherness. After long days, families gathered around the table to share laughter, stories, and simple home-cooked dishes made with love. These meals weren't about luxury, but about connection. Today, we revisit forgotten recipes that once filled American kitchens with warmth, comfort, and the timeless taste of family. Meatloaf with mashed potatoes. Meatloaf tops the list of classic must-have dishes for 1950s family dinners, offering a warm feeling like a hug on a plate. You know, every American homemaker mastered this traditional dish. The appeal of meatloaf comes from the perfect combination of rich flavor and economy. The main ingredients for meatloaf are simple and easy to find: seasoned ground beef, breadcrumbs, eggs, onion, and a touch of seasoning. This combination creates a soft, moist loaf, completely different from a regular hamburger. In particular, the shiny, sweet, and sour tomato glaze coated on top, slightly caramelized during baking, creates a perfectly balanced flavor. Thus, meatloaf became the main meal for post-war families. It is a great way to utilize leftovers, for example, leftover mashed potatoes, sauce, or vegetables. Leftover meatloaf can be thinly sliced for hearty sandwiches the next day, optimizing the family budget. Mashed potatoes are an indispensable side dish, with their creamy smoothness perfectly absorbing the gravy from the meatloaf. A meatloaf dinner nourishes the soul, encapsulating memories of laughter, sharing, and warmth around the family table. This dish recalls the best meals that were often prepared with love, and used the humblest ingredients to create deep satisfaction. Chicken a la king. Chicken a la king is a hearty, rich, and creamy dish, often served on special occasions or Sunday dinners, giving the feeling of dining at an elegant restaurant. This dish is synonymous with mid-century elegance. Although it offers a luxurious feeling, chicken a la king was still humble and easy enough to prepare to appear frequently in the kitchens of ordinary families. The smooth white sauce is the soul of chicken a la king, made from butter, cream, and a touch of sherry, enveloping the chicken, mushrooms, and bell peppers. The combination of tender chicken and diced vegetables in the thick, smooth, creamy sauce transformed this dish into a memorable culinary experience. This cream sauce was meticulously made to achieve the desired consistency, creating a delicate yet not overly fussy flavor. Versatility is a major strength of chicken a la king. It can be served with various starches depending on preference and what is available in the pantry. It was often served over steaming rice, pasta, or most commonly over crispy toasted bread. The feeling of being served an elegant dish like chicken a la king at home created a special atmosphere on weekend evenings. Beef stroganoff. Beef stroganoff is a rich, creamy, and luxurious dish, bringing a touch of European elegance yet still fitting into the American kitchen. This dish was considered a significant upgrade from ordinary ground beef dishes, adding sophistication to dinner. The dish consists of thinly sliced beef stewed in a wonderful cream sauce. The main components of the sauce are sour cream, beef broth, onions, and mushrooms, creating a deep umami flavor and a smooth, tender texture. Sour cream is the distinguishing factor, providing the slight acidity and richness necessary to create the dish's extravagance. Mothers often used less expensive cuts of beef, such as sirloin or round steak, but still created a delicious dinner. In the pursuit of maximum convenience, many 1950s homemakers used canned cream of mushroom soup as a quick shortcut to create the sauce, significantly speeding up the preparation. Beef stroganoff is often served with egg noodles, which perfectly absorb the rich cream sauce. Jell-O salad. In the 1950s, Jell-O was a symbol of modernity and convenience, an easy-to-use product for creating something new. Homemakers were encouraged to experiment, leading to the birth of countless unique Jell-O salad recipes, often combining ingredients that are hard for us to imagine today. The basic recipe includes Jell-O powder, typically raspberry or lime flavor, hot water, and add-ins. The creativity was demonstrated by homemakers adding fresh or canned fruit, mini marshmallows, and even shredded vegetables like carrots, celery, or cabbage into the Jell-O mixture. Some bolder recipes even included mayonnaise, whipped cream, or cottage cheese, creating an odd balance of sweet, savory, and creamy. Jell-O salad was loved for its convenience. It was cheap, easy to prepare, and could be made ahead ideal for large family gatherings, parties, or picnics. Did your family get creative with any Jell-O additions? Share your recipes in the comments below. Waffle breakfast. The widespread introduction of the electric waffle maker transformed making waffles at home from a complicated task into a quick and enjoyable process. This machine helped the meal become the heart of the home. The sizzling sound of batter poured into the mold, the aroma of flour, eggs, and butter spreading throughout the house is a powerful sensory memory for many who grew up in this era. Waffles represented a weekend indulgence, a pleasant change from the quick weekday cereal breakfast. Waffles were often served with luxurious ingredients rarely used on weekdays. The most popular additions were rich maple syrup, melting butter, and seasonal fresh fruit. Sometimes, to add sophistication and fun, whipped cream or even vanilla ice cream was included, turning it into a breakfast dessert. The golden waffles, crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, were a perfect dish for the family to gather around after a busy work week. The experience of making waffles together was also a crucial part of family culture. Children helping mothers pour batter or arrange fruit on the plate created deep bonding memories around the table. Liver and onions. a dish that parents trusted to nourish their families because of its incredibly high nutritional value. This dish was considered a superfood of the era, recommended by many health experts. Liver is a rich source of iron, vitamin A, B12, and protein. In an era where family nutrition was a top priority, liver and onions was a practical choice to ensure everyone received essential vitamins. It was even encouraged by doctors and nutritionists for children and pregnant women due to its high nutrient content, a crucial factor in raising a healthy generation. This dish was an economical choice because liver was often one of the cheapest cuts of meat at the grocery store, a draw for families on a tight budget. To reduce the liver's characteristic strong flavor, homemakers traditionally soaked thin slices of liver in milk before preparation. The liver was then quickly pan-fried in butter or bacon grease, along with onions caramelized until sweetly tender. The caramelized onions are the key element, as their natural sweetness perfectly complements the strong flavor of the liver, making the dish much easier to eat. It can be served with mashed potatoes and a simple vegetable, forming a complete and balanced meal. Creamed tuna on toast. Creamed tuna on toast was a beloved meal due to its absolute convenience and economy, becoming a frequent feature in kitchens. This dish combined the cheap and easy-to-store protein source of canned tuna with a smooth white cream sauce, creating a harmonious blend of resourcefulness and comfort. The appeal of this dish lies in its preparation speed. Canned tuna was the ideal protein reserve, always available in the pantry. To make the cream sauce, homemakers often used one of the era's most popular shortcuts: canned cream soup. Cream of mushroom or cream of celery soup was often used as the base, requiring only heating and mixing with the tuna, making sauce preparation much faster and easier than making traditional bechamel sauce. This was ideal for busy nights when time was extremely valuable. The creamed tuna mixture was then poured over slices of crispy toast, creating an interesting contrast between the crunch of the bread and the soft, creamy richness of the sauce. Other ingredients like peas, a bit of cheese, or black pepper were often added during cooking to enrich the flavor and color, turning it from a simple dish into a complete meal. Canned soup and grilled cheese. The combination of canned soup and grilled cheese is the epitome of comfort food and absolute convenience in 1950s American cuisine. This iconic comfort food duo was a quick and easy lifesaver for dinner or lunch. The rise of convenient packaged foods revolutionized the kitchen during this era. The popularity of canned Campbell's tomato soup was a key turning point, making canned soup a staple in every kitchen thanks to its extraordinary convenience. It only needed to be heated up to be served immediately, significantly saving cooking time, which was especially important for busy mothers. In just a few minutes in the kitchen, you had a warm, sweet, and sour flavor, perfect for cold days without worrying about the cost. The exterior of the bread is grilled in butter, creating a crispy golden crust. Inside, the cheese melts, pulling apart appealingly. If you didn't live in this era, you would certainly not believe they were created from leftover bread or cheese. When combined, the crunchiness and richness of the grilled cheese sandwich and the warm, sour taste of the tomato soup create a perfect balance. Corned beef hash. This dish helps you make the most of leftovers to transform them into a hearty breakfast or a light dinner. Essentially, it is a clever combination of meat and vegetables, pan-fried to create an appealing texture and savory flavor. The origin of corned beef hash is linked to the use of leftover corned beef after large meals. Instead of waste, the beef is minced, mixed with boiled potatoes and onions, and then pan-fried until crispy and golden. It sounds like an art of turning old food into a new, delicious, and beloved dish. Although the homemade version from leftover corned beef is considered superior in flavor, the canned version offers absolute convenience, helping homemakers prepare the dish faster while retaining its warmth and familiarity. This dish is a perfect solution for busy days when there is no time for complex cooking. The flavor of corned beef hash is a combination of the rich, savory taste from the beef, the crispiness of the pan-fried potatoes, and the slight sweetness of the onions. The flowing egg yolk blends into the crispy hash mixture, creating a complete, nutritious meal that brings the warm feeling of a family kitchen. Tuna casserole. Tuna casserole is an iconic, convenient dish of the 1950s. This casserole is a familiar and warm combination of egg noodles, canned cream of mushroom soup, and canned tuna. It is likened to an answer to working mothers' prayers due to its preparation speed and superior economy. The popularity of tuna casserole is linked to the rise of canned food and prepackaged ingredients, inventions that revolutionized the American kitchen. Canned tuna provides a cheap, easy-to-store, and abundant source of protein, helping families stay on budget while ensuring nutritious meals. Canned cream of mushroom soup is the key component, providing creaminess and rich flavor without the time-consuming need to make sauce from scratch. Homemakers often added frozen peas, carrots, or other vegetables to enhance color, nutrition, and freshness for the casserole. The pinnacle of perfection is the layer of crispy potato chips or breadcrumbs sprinkled on top, baked until golden and crispy, creating an interesting, contrasting texture with the creamy filling underneath. Although seemingly simple, this dish carries a deep nostalgic value, recalling unpretentious dinners where the focus was on family, not the complexity of cuisine. Salisbury steak. Salisbury steak is another staple dish, beloved for its ability to combine the simplicity of ground beef with the style and elegance of a restaurant meal. This dish helped homemakers feel like they were serving a special meal without spending too much time or effort. Salisbury steak combines two main elements: affordability and flexibility. Like meatloaf, it uses seasoned ground beef, a cost-effective and readily available protein, allowing families to feed many people while staying on budget. The ground beef is shaped into small steak patties, then cooked, often pan-fried or baked. The highlight that makes this dish stand out is the rich brown gravy. Remember, the gravy is made from beef drippings, flour, and broth, often smothered over the steak and side dishes like mashed potatoes. This enhances the flavor, creating a warm, satisfying feeling. The application of gravy transformed the simple ground beef patty into a masterpiece of comfort cuisine, reminiscent of meals at diners or casual restaurants. Salisbury steak encapsulates the spirit of the 1950s, simple, practical, but always striving to bring a sense of quality and comfort to the family table. Are you enjoying this trip down memory lane? Don't forget to hit the hype button. It's the best way to help our channel grow. Hot dogs and sauerkraut. Hot dogs became a staple item that was easy to buy, easy to prepare, and loved by children. In the 1950s, hot dogs were seen as an economical and quick solution for serving family meals, especially on busy nights or during picnics. They represented the convenience and speed of modern life. Hot dogs could be prepared in various ways, from boiling, grilling, to pan-frying, but the combination with sauerkraut is what made this dish special in the context of the 50s. Sauerkraut adds the necessary sharp acidity and crunch, balancing the richness of the hot dog. The common appearance of sauerkraut in American kitchens is a clear tribute to Eastern European influence. Many immigrant communities brought their traditions of fermentation and food preservation, and sauerkraut was quickly accepted as a healthy and delicious side dish. This combination offers an irresistibly rich flavor compared to a regular hot dog. This dish was often served on toasted bread or accompanied by mashed potatoes, creating a full and satisfying meal. The contrast between the savory, slightly sweet hot dog and the sour, crunchy sauerkraut creates an attractive flavor, making this dish unique and memorable. Beef stew. Particularly beloved on cold days, beef stew brings a deep, comforting feeling to family dinners, a dish demonstrating homemade care. The secret to a successful 1950s. Beef stew lies in the slow cooking process. This dish was designed to utilize less expensive cuts of beef, such as chuck or brisket, which require long cooking times to break down connective tissues and become melt-in-your-mouth tender. This slow cooking process, often lasting 1 to 3 hours, is key to achieving tenderness and a rich, deep flavor. This long cooking time allows the flavors from the vegetables and broth to infuse deeply into the meat, creating absolute satisfaction. Traditional beef stew is a harmonious blend of beef, carrots, onions, and potatoes, all cooked in a thick beef broth, thickened with flour or starch. This dish showcases the resourcefulness of homemakers who knew how to turn inexpensive ingredients into a hearty and nutritious meal. By stewing cheap cuts of meat with vegetables and broth, mothers could easily feed many people without affecting the family budget. Beef stew often tastes better the next day, making it an excellent choice for batch cooking and utilizing leftovers. Shrimp scampi. Shrimp scampi is a dish that brings sophistication and elegance to family dinner, yet is accessible and quick enough for busy homemakers to prepare. This dish reflects the rise of frozen foods in the 1950s, which made ingredients like shrimp easier to find and more convenient for families not living near the coast. The convenience of frozen shrimp revolutionized how Americans accessed seafood, turning a dish once considered a luxury into a frequent option. Shrimp scampi capitalized on this convenience to create a dinner that looked fancy, but was easily cooked in a single pan. This was ideal for nights needing a quick meal and minimal cleanup, fitting perfectly with the busy pace of the era. The flavor of shrimp scampi focuses on the classic combination of butter, garlic, and lemon. Shrimp are cooked quickly in the butter-garlic mixture, then drizzled with lemon juice to add brightness and freshness, creating a fresh yet rich flavor. This dish is usually served over pasta or rice, helping absorb all the rich sauce, forming a complete meal. If you have more memories about these meals, don't hesitate to share them in the comments below. Baked ziti. Baked ziti is a convenient, cheesy, and hearty Italian dish, becoming the perfect meal for entertaining a crowd inexpensively in the 1950s. Like spaghetti and meatballs, baked ziti maximized the use of affordable ingredients like pasta, tomato sauce, and ricotta/mozzarella cheese. It is a filling dish capable of feeding many people, making it a cost-effective choice for large families. The baking process allows the flavors to meld deeply, creating a layer of melted, gooey cheese, along with soft pasta and rich tomato sauce. Homemakers could prepare this dish in the morning or the night before, store it in the refrigerator, and simply bake it when it was time to eat. This dish is also very customizable. It can be served simply with tomato sauce, but is often enriched by adding meatballs or ground Italian sausage, turning it into a complete protein meal. Its ability to serve a large quantity and its economy made baked ziti a favorite for family events, parties, and community gatherings, where warmth and generosity were valued. Clam chowder. Clam chowder is a timeless, creamy soup perfect for cold days, providing a warm and filling feeling. The popularity of this soup in the 1950s was strongly driven by the increase in canned soups and convenient foods, which made seafood more accessible. Although seemingly complex to prepare, clam chowder became a reasonable and economical solution for homemakers thanks to the availability of canned or frozen clams. Clam chowder combines modest ingredients, usually canned clams, potatoes, onions, and heavy cream or milk, to form a rich and satisfying dish. From cheap ingredients, it becomes a dish with deep and complete flavor. New England clam chowder, the creamy version, was the most popular. The thickness of this soup transforms it from an appetizer into a full meal. If desired, you can serve it with crackers or crusty bread, which helps soak up all the rich broth, increasing satisfaction and satiety. The convenience of canned soup made this dish more accessible to all families. Homemakers could quickly heat up canned soup or use it as a base for a homemade version, simply adding potatoes and fresh clams. Stuffed bell peppers. Stuffed bell peppers is a clever way to stretch ingredients and creatively demonstrate the resourcefulness of homemakers. The principle is to use large, colorful bell peppers and stuff them with an economical mixture of ground beef, rice, onions, and seasonings. The use of rice in the stuffing helps extend the meat and makes the dish more filling without increasing costs, a familiar budget-saving strategy of the era. After stuffing, the bell peppers are baked or simmered in tomato sauce until tender, and the filling is fully cooked. The appeal of stuffed bell peppers also comes from its flexibility. The filling can be changed to use any leftover ground meat or even poultry. It is also an excellent dish to ensure that no food is wasted, as any leftover filling can be cooked separately and eaten alongside the peppers. This reinforces the importance of resourcefulness in the family kitchen. Like baked ziti, stuffed bell peppers is a dish that can be made ahead. Homemakers could prepare the stuffed peppers in the morning and bake them when dinner time arrived, saving time on busy nights and increasing convenience. Deviled eggs. Deviled eggs is an extremely convenient and easy-to-make dish. It is made from hard-boiled eggs. The yolks are mashed and mixed with a creamy sauce, then piped back into the egg whites. The appearance of the beautifully decorated eggs, often sprinkled with paprika or parsley, provides visual appeal and adds sophistication to the table. One of the biggest advantages of deviled eggs is the ability to prepare them in large quantities and make them ahead of time. This helped homemakers save valuable time on the day of an event, making it an indispensable appetizer at parties, demonstrating convenience and practicality in time management. Deviled eggs represent a balance between homemade care and convenience in post-war society. Technically simple, yet they convey a special and delicate feeling when presented beautifully. It showcases the resourcefulness of using eggs, an economical and always available ingredient, to create a classy appetizer. This appetizer is linked to memories of family warmth, gathered Sunday afternoons, and celebrations. Deviled eggs provide comfort, familiarity, and are always anticipated. Whether used to fill the stomach before the main meal or just as a snack, deviled eggs always succeed in creating a cheerful and cohesive atmosphere. Pork chops with applesauce. In the post-war era, pork was one of the cheapest and most readily available meats at the grocery store, making it a common and frequent protein choice on the family table. Pork chops were typically pan-fried quickly or baked, retaining moisture and rich flavor. This quick cooking method suited the need for convenience of busy homemakers, helping them serve a complete meal in a short time. Applesauce is the key element that makes this dish unique. Whether the applesauce was homemade or store-bought, it created the necessary flavor balance. The sweet and sour taste of the apple perfectly contrasted with the savory, rich flavor of the pork, creating a delicate and interesting taste. This sweet and savory combination not only stimulates the palate, but also makes the meal more satisfying. Applesauce, especially the homemade kind, also demonstrated homemade care and attention to traditional flavors. This dish embodied the philosophy of comfort cuisine, using basic, affordable ingredients and cleverly combining them to create a simple but elegant meal. Pork chops with applesauce is a timeless dish, easy to prepare and always well received by everyone in the family. Potato salad. This dish is linked to memories of summer, of outdoor gatherings where laughter and good food filled the space. Potato salad is an indispensable part of America's comfort food heritage. You would see it appear at family gatherings, BBQs, and picnics in the 1950s. This dish was loved not only for its cool, rich flavor, but also for its practicality and economy. Potatoes are an inexpensive and readily available ingredient, allowing homemakers to prepare a large amount of this salad to serve a crowd without straining the budget. This is an economical and extremely practical dish, demonstrating the resourceful spirit in turning basic ingredients into an attractive side dish. One of the biggest advantages of potato salad is that it can be made ahead. In fact, many people believe the flavor of this salad is even better after being refrigerated overnight, allowing the flavors to meld perfectly. If you could choose one recipe to pass down to your children and grandchildren, which one would it be? Comment below so we can appreciate this family culinary tradition together. Spaghetti and meatballs. Meatballs and spaghetti is a classic dish that evokes endless nostalgia and comfort, often a favorite Sunday dinner. This dish has deep roots in Italian-American cuisine. It is not only delicious, but also an effective budget-saving way to feed an entire large family. Ground beef was the protein of choice, as it was a cost-effective ingredient and easy to form into meatballs. The preparation of this dish was often a family event, with homemakers meticulously slow-cooking the meatballs in homemade tomato sauce. This slow-cooking process is key to the meatballs becoming soft, moist, and deeply infused with the flavor of the tomato sauce, garlic, and herbs, creating a deep and warm flavor. The aroma of the sauce simmering on the stove permeates the entire house, an unmistakable sign that a hearty meal awaits. Spaghetti and meatballs is a hearty and complete meal, providing maximum satisfaction. Like many other dishes in the 50s, it also highlights resourcefulness and practicality. Leftovers from this Sunday dinner were extremely ideal for use as lunch, or a light dinner the next day, often served as filling for various sandwiches or topped with cheese. Shepherd's pie. The flavor of this pie is a combination of a savory, rich meat filling under a layer of creamy, buttery mashed potatoes, baked until crispy. The traditional British version uses lamb, but the popular American version in the 1950s often used ground beef due to its availability and affordability, making ground beef an economical ingredient widely used. The filling is usually a mixture of ground beef cooked with vegetables and a rich sauce, creating a nutritionally complete dish. The special and most important feature of this dish is that it is ideal for utilizing leftovers. The topping, a layer of creamy mashed potatoes, baked until golden and crispy, was often made from leftover mashed potatoes from the previous dinner. The use of leftovers transformed shepherd's pie into an extremely resourceful and economical dish, helping families stretch the food budget and minimize waste, showcasing the homemaker's ingenuity. Preparing shepherd's pie allowed homemakers to package a complete, nutritious meal, protein, vegetables, and starch, into a single baking dish. Sloppy Joes. Famous for its savory, slightly sour, and slightly sweet meat filling, piled high between two soft buns, Sloppy Joes created a fun but messy meal. This dish is a perfect example of the convenient cooking style of the post-war era. It uses ground beef, an economical and readily available ingredient, and combines it with pantry staples like ketchup, canned tomato sauce, and other spices. Ground beef is a cost-effective ingredient, helping families save money while still providing a protein-rich meal. The cooking process for sloppy joes is quick, usually requiring only browning the ground beef and mixing it with the sauce, making it a practical solution for busy nights. The preparation of sloppy joes is unfussy. You also don't need to be too formal when eating it, encouraging comfort and naturalness at the family table. It is the perfect dish for children and for serving a large crowd easily and affordably. The flavor of sloppy joes is an excellent balance between sweetness, acidity from the tomatoes, and the rich savoriness of the beef. Beef and bean burritos. Beef and bean burritos is a dish that reflects the trend of accepting international flavors creeping into American family cuisine. This dish not only brought novelty, but was also a practical and economical solution for a quick dinner, demonstrating resourcefulness in using common ingredients. The combination of ground beef and refried beans provides an abundant, cheap, and very filling source of protein. Like many other dishes in this decade, the burrito maximized the use of ground beef, a versatile and cost-effective ingredient. Refried beans, rich in fiber and protein, were a great way to stretch the food budget and increase the satiety of the meal. These ingredients were tightly rolled in soft tortilla shells, creating a convenient food package. Beef and bean burritos were loved for their convenience and speed. It was ideal for nights requiring a fast meal and was an excellent option for large families. This dish was also extremely flexible. Homemakers could customize it by adding extras like shredded cheese, salsa, diced onions, or a dollop of sour cream. Banana cream pie. Banana cream pie was served to conclude a hearty family dinner or special occasions, providing a sense of luxury and satisfaction. Its influence grew strongly with the introduction of pre-packaged components, especially instant vanilla pudding. Instant pudding revolutionized dessert making the preparation of the creamy layer easier and quicker, reducing the time needed to cook traditional custard. The cook created a dessert that looked complex but was highly convenient and manageable. Banana cream pie consists of a crispy cookie crust lined with fresh banana slices, followed by a thick layer of creamy vanilla pudding and topped with soft whipped cream. The combination of the sweet, crunchy crust, the creamy richness, and the freshness of the banana creates a rich and pleasant flavor balance. Banana cream pie was a favorite for holidays, birthdays, and special Sunday dinners. Enjoying banana cream pie evokes a feeling of comfort and is a sweet end to a long day. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If any item on this list touched your memory, please leave a comment below. And if you want memories like these to continue being recounted, take a second to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time in our memory digging sessions.